Hey. Super excited. So much is going on. Got a little new background. Y'all know I'll be acting fancy. Y'all know I'll be acting fancy. Um, when I get my new backgrounds and all the good stuff, right? And I'll be acting fancy. But I'm super excited. I believe I have done this right, and that we are live in all the places that we're supposed to be live in. Give me 1 second to make sure. Uh, One more little thing. Y'all know how this goes. You know, you're live in multiple different places and multiple different platforms. But we are going to get to the information because I am super excited to deliver this one because we definitely have to talk about emergencies, right? Because oftentimes what I see is that we're not planning for emergencies, right? We're not planning for um, for emergencies, and so what ends up happening is they happen, right? Because emergencies are going to happen, and then all of a sudden we're moving all about and losing our minds, right? Losing our ever loving minds, trying to trying to get ready for emergencies. So definitely want to do that. So give me a second to share this out, and then I got y'all. I promise y'all know I'm going to give you all the goods, right, on how to prepare. All right. So we have um, Throwback Topic Thursdays. Yes, this is what we're doing. Throwback Topic Thursdays. We are here live and in the building. All right, I got everybody in. Like, listen, get on in here. Come on, sit down. You know, get your lunch or whatever it is that you got going on. Um, y'all excuse me while I be trying to fix all the things, right? You be having all these systems and all this wonderful stuff, all this technology, and then you got to try to fix it to make it do what you want it to do. Because technology only works when it works, or it only messes up when you are trying to do something, right? It always, when you practice, right, it's perfect, right? It's like works every time. The moment that you ready to do something, right? The moment that you're ready to do it. Um, that's the way it goes, right? So how your profit plan can prepare you for emergencies. Okay, so there's a couple of things I need you to know. And before I do that, I always forget. I'll be ready to dive right into this thing. Like, I'll be ready to dive right in, right? But I gotta remember, everybody don't just know who I am. I'll be thinking that it feels like that sometimes, but everybody don't know who I am. My name is Erica Lane. I am the money elevation strategist who tripled my income using what is now my profitable entrepreneur and money makeover program. I've been an entrepreneur for what seems like my whole life. I feel like I came out the womb talking about I'm a boss, I'm a businesswoman, right? Just all those things, right? All those things, crazy things. It feels like that. But I have built businesses in multiple industries: tech, education, right? Um, Finance, obviously, right? Because that's what I'm doing now, and so many other things. I've learned so much through this journey, and the thing is, this journey is a journey, right? Entrepreneurship is a journey. It really is a journey, right? But there's a lot of learning, and it's always going to be learning. Things are always going to be changing. Things are always going to be moving in entrepreneurship, right? So I always want to make that clear. And so I've had high highs, right? But I've also had low lows, right? And so here's what you have to know. For me, I've had high highs in business, meaning that I've made lots of money. I put my blood, my sweat, my tears, and my money into businesses that have grown to $750,000 annually. And I've also put those things into businesses that flopped, right? I know the world normally doesn't tell you, right, about the flops. They normally don't tell you about those flops because they don't want you to know. They like, oh no, I need to tell you all the good stuff. No, well, let me tell you that I flopped. I failed at business at times. I absolutely have. But here's the thing. In those failures, I learned things, right? In those failures, right, I figured out what worked and what didn't work, right? And so I was able to take that information and that knowledge and really build, a knowledge base, right? And so I'm super excited about that, because even in defeat, right? And just Jesus says, for even in defeat, right? There's a valuable lesson learned. So these evens it up for me. And so I've done that. I've been building business for a long time. And quite frankly, I lost everything. Just at one point, I was vacation battling with a friend. We would one up each other every time, right? And right, and then all the money I was spending money like it was going out of style because I'm originally from New York, where they taught us how to get money, but never how to keep any of it, right? And so I was spending money like it was going out of style, and one day it did. One day it did. One day that money absolutely went out of style, and I lost everything. And when I say everything, I mean going from grossing $750,000 annually to walking into a shelter system saying, hey, I cannot feed my daughter. Hey, can't put a roof over our head. Hey, I can't put clothes on our back. Can you help me? That's a very humbling experience. Believe you me, it's a very humbling experience, right? And and I say all that to say, and I, you know, I tell people that not because I want to glorify or look down or do anything for anyone else. I'm just saying when you come from a place where you're grossing that kind of money and then all of a sudden you don't have it, it is a humbling experience because now you have to adjust, you have to change, you have to figure out, right, what you can do, right, to get back to where you were. And the thing about me, and I don't think I've ever said this out loud, right, but maybe I have, maybe I haven't, but it felt like a failure. I felt like a failure as a parent, right? Can we be real? Like the summit I have is called the Real Money Talk Summit, and so I know I can be real. If not, listen, I asked y'all permission. In my mind, y'all said yes, so I'm just going to go with that. But being real, I felt like a failure as a parent. Like I introduced my daughter to this life and this lifestyle, and now right, I can't maintain it. Right, I can't do those things. And so what it made me realize was after I cried in my closet, because I did, I cried, the ugly cry, y'all. But after I cried in my closet, I really realized, like, listen, I had to get my life together. I had to get my finances in order. I had to think about, okay, what got me here? What got me into that situation, right? And it was basically the decisions and the habits that I made, right? And because those decisions and habits I made got me into the mess, guess what? Making better quality decisions was and habits was going to get me out of the mess. So I decided to start focusing on my credit. I started to focus on my finances. I started to focus on, saving. I started to focus on budgeting. I know that's a B word. Ooh, okay, I ain't saying B words. I know, don't go out there saying that. But the reality is, right, I had to start focusing on those things because what you focus on is what you manifest. What you manifest, baby, is what you are going to have in this lifetime, right? So I focused on my finances and I got them in order. And then people started to realize what I was doing for myself in my household and in my business. And then they realized, they were like, hey, if you could do that for you, sis, can you help me? Right? Because that's how people do. That's how people do you, right? And then at some point, I said, there should be a check. Somebody should be cutting me some checks, right, for doing all this work I was doing, right? And so the Money Elevation Strategist was born, right? And I've been helping people ever since. And I love, love, love what I'm doing. I'm a certified international keynote speaker, a five-time number one best-selling author, new book coming out soon. So number six is all I'm saying. Number six, no pressure, y'all. Number six is coming soon, right? And our summit founder and creator, obviously the Real Money Talk Summit, and I am the founder of the Global Profit Solutions Academy, right, where we teach you all about money management, profit management, um, all things. And we have, yes, and we have retreats. Yeah, we are saying retreats. Don't forget the retreats. Yes, the retreats, summits, events, you name it, at round table to make sure that we are really making money together. Like we ain't just gonna talk about profit, right? We're just gonna teach you how to manage it, right? We're gonna teach you how to get some more of it. Is what I'm saying. And so it's going to be an amazing time. So definitely something that I am excited about. But let's get to why you're here. Right, that's all the fun, the fluffy stuff that everybody likes to hear. I don't know why, because personally, if you know me for 5 minutes, you know I don't care nothing about that stuff. I don't care about how many press organizations I've been on. I don't care all about that stuff. I'm excited about helping people get to the work and really focus on their business, right? And impacting their lives. Like that is the impact for me, right? It's changing the trajectory, right, of finances in our community, right? By helping you manage the profit in your household and in your business. That's what it is for me, right? That's what it is for me. So want to get to this. So the emergencies. Here's the thing you need to know about life, right? And whether you can apply this to your life or you can apply this to your business, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, it really doesn't matter. Quite frankly, emergencies will happen. So that's number one. Number one, emergencies will happen. hmm And they usually happen at the most inopportune time, right? Right? They usually happen at the most inopportune time. You're like, Lord, please don't let nothing happen right now. And guess what? That's when it happens, right? And the thing about emergencies, they don't care what you're doing. They don't care what you got planned. They don't care, what's going to happen. They don't care what you have later on down the line. They are going to happen. So here's my thing: if you know it's going to happen, why you don't plan for it? I know. I just got to ask the question. I'm just asking the questions. You got to answer them. But think about that. If you know it's going to happen, if you know there is going to be emergencies in your life and in your business, guess what? Why are we not planning for them? Yeah. Like, why are we not planning for them? Why is it that we don't have a specific plan for emergencies, whether it's in your household or it's in your business? Right. And for those of you who run households and run business at the same time, you should absolutely be prepared for emergencies, right, to happen. Yes, emergencies be emerging. Like, yes, yes, Candace. Emergencies be emerging. Like they just they, right. So let me give you some emergencies for your household, right? Somebody gets sick, or you or somebody gets sick, right? Because especially if you're the person who are is the breadwinner in your household, if you get sick, usually all kind of stuff break loose, right? Right. So somebody gets sick, that's an emergency. Right. There's a household emergency, a flood, or a light issue, or let's say the lights go out or the heat goes out, things that you can't control. That's what an emergency is. It's an emergency is not stuff that you know is going to happen. Right. That's not an emergency. An emergency, right? Emergency is something that you have no idea is coming. Like the car needing an oil change is not an emergency. That's not an emergency. Why? Because you know that's going to happen. You know you need to do that. So that's something you should be planning for, right? The kids said most don't plan because they say God got me. God got you. That is a true statement. God does have you. Here's the thing though. And I know I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway because it's me, y'all. But God got you. That is a thing. That is true. He does, right? But you have to do your part. You just can't expect like he's just gonna take care of the things and you haven't done the things that you're supposed to do. You haven't done your part, right? So make sure that yes, while we can pray and God got you, right? You got to do your part. I always say, right? You want a supernatural, right, change, but he has to add his super to your natural, which means your natural has to work. You have to put your natural to work. Don't get me started. See, Candace be hyping me up, y'all. Like Candace be hyping me up. Like she be getting me. She be getting me. Right? Yes. Right? And that is so true. Like God you have to do your part. Because I heard, this is what I heard. I heard and there was a book that says faith without work, and part of the work, right? I don't have to continue because I know you've heard it, right? But part of the work is you doing your part, right? So there's that. Um, so we have to plan for emergencies. Like we cannot sit here and believe, right, that we can't sit here and believe that we're just going to just arrive somewhere, it's just going to happen, things are going to come out the blue. No, we have to make plans, we have to figure things out. Now here's the thing, and I always want to make this clear: just because you plan for something does not mean it's going to go the way exactly how you planned it. Let me be clear about that, because I don't want nobody saying, well, Erica said if I plan for it, it'll all work out. That's not what Erica said. That's not what she said. Right? So there are going to be variables in life and in business, like that you can't plan for. Right? But if you have no plan, then you have no idea of how to even begin to focus on what's going on. Right? Without a plan at all, you can't even begin to focus on what's going on, because quite frankly, you have no idea how to deal with it. I tell my entrepreneurs, especially those who are just starting in business, You have to plan to know how to deal with things in your business long before they even happen. Like, and make those plans in a right mind. Make those thoughts, or have those thoughts, and while you're thinking to yourself, oh, I'm in a good space, right? So we make decisions from in a good space. What we don't want to do is make decisions from a place of emergency, or a place of lack. We don't want to make decisions from that place. We want to make the decisions and figure out what we're going to do for an emergency, right? We want to do that when we're in sound mind and things are not going crazy and everybody ain't losing they might, and we're not in that. We're not in that moment. We're like, Lord, have mercy, right? You don't want to do that from a space of overwhelm. You want to make a plan, right? When you're in a good space, right? So I tell my entrepreneurs, make sure you are making that plan, right? When you're in a good space. So we need to plan for those emergencies. Okay. So things are, like I said, that's from a personal perspective, business perspective, an emergency, right? Is I had a friend who said they had a business, and the state just decided that eminent domain, like they had to move their business, right? And there's nothing you could do about that. That there's nothing, like you just got to move, right? It is what it is, right? So it wasn't any fault of their own, but the reality is it caused a disruption in his business, right? That's an emergency. And what I tell people is emergencies should be covered by at minimum 3 to 6 months of your expenses. So if it's your household or it's your business, right, you should have 3 to 6 months of funding for your household or for your business in case of emergency, right? And household wise, emergency is losing a job, right? Because that's an emergency. Right? That's an emergency. But you want to be comfortable. From a business perspective, right? It is something happening. COVID, right? None of us saw that coming, right? But I was comfortable in my business and I was able to make proper decisions in my business. Why? Because I had 3 to 6 months to figure it all out. And the first month, we all didn't know what was going on. We couldn't try to figure it out, right? But I had 3 to 6 months to sit back and go, what does Erica want to do in her business? Where most people were making decisions because they were already robbing Peter to pay Paul, or they had no emergency plan. So it was just kind of like, they were living check to check, just like their employees. Come on, y'all. I know, because there are some folks who came to me and said, how can you help, right? And you're in this place of emergency now, and you're in this place of fear, and that's not where you want to make decisions. Right? You want to make decisions from abundance. Exactly right. You don't want to make them from fear, and overwhelm. So make sure that when you put a plan together, you are clear. You know, okay, I need 3 to 6 months now. You're not gonna make 3 to 6 months, just come out of nowhere, right? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to set aside an account for emergencies. I want you to set aside an account for emergencies, whether it's for your household or whether it's for your business. I need you a separate account. It doesn't do anything else but manage emergencies. That's it. That is all that it does. The money that goes in there is for emergencies. Only the money that comes out of there is for emergencies. And when and if an emergency happens, you then need to replenish that emergency fund, right? So you don't have to start with $1 million, right? You can definitely start with a percentage, right? And you need to choose based on your household and based on your finances. Everybody's percentage is going to be different. I know people going to tell you, oh, you got to do, 40, 30, 40%. Look, that's not realistic. It's just not for most entrepreneurs or for most people, right? But what I will tell you is, I would say for me, if I'm starting an emergency fund, I would start with 20%, right, of whatever the revenue or the income or whatever it is that I bring in. Um, if I was starting my emergency fund, I'm starting it up from now. Obviously, I have a fully funded one, but if I was starting, I definitely would do just that. I would start with 20% of the revenue or the income or whatever it is that I bring in and put in that emergency fund. Hear me clearly. No, your business emergency fund and your personal emergency fund cannot be the same. No, that's a hard no. No, ma'am. Yeah, that's a hard no, right? You cannot have them in the same account. Those are two very separate things. Please do not commingle funds. The people, those alphabet people, they do not play about commingling funds, right? They don't play about that, right? So we don't want that. No, if you run your household, right, there should be an emergency fund for your household. But then if you run a business, you should also have a business emergency fund, which should be in a business account, right? And you can keep an emergency fund in any type of accounts. Personally, what I tell people is they should be in a revenue generating account. That's just how I feel. Things like, you can put them in a savings account, and savings accounts are not necessarily the best in the world. Why they don't give for so much interest, right? So I would say putting an interest bearing account would be um, the best for you, right? Because you want to make money, you want to have your money make money for you as it's sitting there. What you don't want to do is have it just sit there and it's not doing anything. I am very clear. Money has one responsibility, just one responsibility. Money has one responsibility, and that responsibility is to duplicate itself. It's to go back and bring more of itself to the account, right? So I believe in putting in interest bearing accounts. There's tons of interest bearing accounts. Definitely go speak to our banker to make sure it is the right account for you. So I'm always clear about that. But you should, right, put it into an account. And I would say preferably an account that you just can't just go get because it's Tuesday, right? You're gonna have to do some work to go get it, right? Because you want to make sure from an emergency perspective, um, you're not just going and dipping into it. Because y'all not listen, y'all, I done been there. That's all I'm saying. I done been there, and I know you like seeing that money just sitting there, especially a few $1,000s. Come on, y'all, right? So I tell people, make sure it's not something that you can just easily transfer to your checking account that you do everything to, right? Sometimes it can be the same bank, just don't connect them. So other times it can be a different bank, right? Um, so that just it's not easily transferable. As technology emerges, quite frankly, everything can be transferred depending on where you are, right, and how it's set up. But just don't connect them. This way, this is the only card or the only bank. And the only reason why you go here is to pull from your emergency fund and be clear what an emergency is. It's something that was unforeseen, right? So again, something like an oil change. That's not an emergency. That while it may feel like that, right? Or or something like that, or car breaks. It may feel like that, but that's not a real emergency because, quite frankly, we know that cars break. We know that oils need to be changed. We know those things, and because we know those things, we need to account for them in our regular budget, right? But there's the gem. You got to have a regular budget, right? Got to have a regular budget in order to make sure that your those things are accounted for, right? And when I do household budgets, one of the things that I do is, took the words right out of my mouth, regular maintenance, right, inside the household budget. Why? Because those things are going to happen. We need to be prepared for them, right? And from your business perspective, an emergency is not that you want to go to a conference that you didn't know was happening. That's not an emergency. That's not an emergency, right? Because in your business budget, there should be a line item for conferences. There should be a line item for food if you go to a restaurant, right? All the things that those are not emergencies, right? An emergency is I cannot produce revenue in my business, but so I have this fund that can help take care of me while I'm not producing revenue. Right now, there are systems and things that'll help you produce revenue, whether you there, whether you not, but for whatever the reason that you no longer can do what you're doing, whatever happens, a system goes down, right? Or something happens in your business and you no longer have a team, right, to produce the things. All I'm saying is an emergency is there's no revenue coming in. There is something has happened and that I could not foresee. Not that you could foresee, because the things that you can foresee should be in your budget, right? So I hope you got that. Like the things that you can foresee should be in your budget. So definitely wanted to touch on that, right? So that's my thing, right? Make sure you are clear, right? Your profit planning, right, which means your budgets, right, your annual profit plan, all of those things should already have money in them, right, for the things that happen on a day-to-day basis. But you should have a very separate and apart account, right, and account for your emergencies. And so make sure that you have those accounts for emergencies, and make sure, right, you don't touch those accounts unless it's a real emergency. And what I would advise you to do is to write down. I know I'll make you work. I know it. I do it all the time, don't I? I do it all the time. Write down, right? What is what is an emergency, right? Right? What is emergency? You jumping the gun, girl. You jumping the gun. It's coming. It's coming. That's in the annual profit planning masterclass is inside the academy. And I think that that's going to be out to the public. I think you will have to be a part of the GPS Global Profit Solutions Academy in order to get that masterclass. But it's coming. For those who are part of the Global Profit Solutions Academy, yeah, that's coming. You'll get that. You'll get the annual profit plan masterclass. You're not in there, girl. I don't know what to tell you, baby. Um, but definitely. So what I was saying was make sure you write down what constitutes an emergency for this account. So if you have a personal account, right, a personal emergency fund, right, you need to write down, okay, what constitutes an emergency? What are the things that I can pull money out of this account? Right? Hold yourself accountable to your accounts. Hold yourself accountable, right? Because sometimes again, we base things off of emotions and we feel like this is an emergency. Oh my God. But if we have clear and concise rules about what is an emergency versus what is not an emergency, right? We'll go, all right, this ain't an emergency, right? We'll calm ourselves. So I want you to make sure that when you put together an emergency fund, you decide how much of your revenue or your or or your income or whatever is going to come out to start to fund the emergency fund. You make sure you get to about 3 to 6 months. That at a minimum, that's where you should be. I like 6 to 12 months, right? We like that, but 3 to 6 months minimum, right? And so when you get there, right, and be clear when you set up this account, you go to the bank, you set up the account or whatever institution that you set it up with. Make sure that you have written out what constitutes an emergency and put that, somewhere either with the documents or whatever, like what constitutes an emergency. So it's written out and it's clear when you are in sound mind, when you are at peace, because when you are in the midst of a storm, when you are in the midst of emergency, when you are in the midst of things going all haywire, right? That's not the time to figure it out. That's not the time to do that, right? You make profitable decisions when you make them in your right mind, when you make them from a sense of peace, right? That's when you want to make a profitable decision, not when the storm is already hit, right? That's not what you want to do. So make sure that you write it down, like what it is that constitutes an emergency, that I can take money out of this account, right? And hold yourself accountable to that. And then if you look at the list when you did it in your right mind, and you in this moment of panic and emergency, and you realize this is not one of the things on there, say no. Say no. Say no. Nope. I gotta figure something else out because I can't go into this account for this. Be clear on what the account is for, because here's the thing. Here's one of the things that I realized. If you have clarity, right, then you lessen the opportunity for mistakes. You lessen the opportunity for mistakes. It's not to say you won't have any, because we all make mistakes. We are human. That's just kind of part of it, right? But I will say when you have clarity, you lessen the opportunity for mistakes. And so, make sure that whatever you do, you have an emergency fund for your life, right? Which is your home, right? All those things, your household, and then obviously for your business as well. So proper planning, right, prevents poor profit, right? That's what I always say. Proper planning prevents poor profit, right? So make sure that you do that. I hope you gain value from this. I'm super excited. Listen, it's not hard. I know it's, but if you prepare for the emergency, right, before it happens, I promise you, life will be so much easier. Life will be so much easier. And I've been in both positions. I've been in the position where, I didn't prepare for it. And so when it happened, I was like, Lord have mercy, right? And I was calling and walking the floors and doing all the things. But had I prepared for it, I would have been in a better situation. And quite frankly, right, I've been in emergencies where I had a plan. And like I said, when COVID hit, I was able to make a decision from a position of strength, right, and prepare for my businesses and make sure that people were paid and all the things were still running and going on. Why? Because I had already prepared for an emergency. Right now, I didn't know it was going to be COVID, right? But but I had already prepared. And a lot of entrepreneurs figured out and during COVID, they were not prepared. Right. And so I want you to be prepared. I don't want you to be out here, and as I always say, right. So there is that. All right, y'all. It's been amazing. Life be life, right? It's been amazing. I appreciate y'all because y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here listening to me. If you need me, you know how to reach me. Let's see if I can be fancy, y'all. Um, if you need me, definitely GPS Next Step will get you time with me. It'll get you time so we can figure out what you need from a profit planning perspective. If you need me to walk you through things, right? All of that. So definitely gpsnextstep.com will get you a complimentary 15 minutes with me, go through all of your stuff, like making sure you're in the right place, making sure you know what tools and things that you need, right? I'm definitely here for all of that. And then events, all that kind of good stuff like that have purpose for you and your business. So I definitely want to do that. Also too, listen, we talked about the academy. For those of you who are at the Real Money Talk Summit, you already have access. That's all I'm saying. Your access has been granted. My girl said access granted. Yes, your access has been granted to the GPS Academy. So definitely, if you want that, you can always DM me. I have no problem with people DMing me. Why? Because I know how to put people out in my DMs, right? If they're not acting right. So so definitely DM me and just put the word academy. I'll know exactly what you're talking about. And I'll get you the link to the academy. And tomorrow is Friday. It is Phone and Friend Friday. So excited about that. If you want to be on Phone and Friend Friday, all you gotta do is DM me, phone a friend. I'll know exactly what you're talking about. But where I get you, I allow you all to introduce your business. And you come up on live with me and we talk and go through all of the things. So Phone a Friend Friday, you make sure you message me on whatever platform that you're on. Um, and I got you. I got you. I got you. I want you to come up and introduce your business. There's more than enough in this world for all of us. And I love sharing my platforms and the things that I'm doing so that other people can benefit. Because listen, we all need each other, right? I'm in a spirit of collaboration. Like collaboration is my word this year. And I'm collaborating with as many people as possible, sharing my platforms, sharing my experience, sharing my knowledge, sharing all the things, putting events. There's some big things about to come out. So I'm excited about that. But as I always say, it's not about the revenue you generate. It's all about the profit that you get to keep. My name is Erica Lane. I am the money elevation strategist who tripled my income using what is now my profitable entrepreneur money makeover program. I thank you. Peace and blessings. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.